Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Reading from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 1 Teachings to Rupa Goswami, continuation. In the Dasya Rasa status, the conception of the Supreme Lord is exhibited in the greatest quantity of awe and veneration. The greatness of the Supreme Lord is appreciated in Dasya Rasa also. It is marked here that in the status of Shanta Rasa, there is no spiritual activity of service, but in the status of Dasya Rasa, that service begins. Therefore, in the Dasya Rasa, two qualities are there. This means the quality of the Shanta Rasa and the consciousness of the transcendental taste of fraternity. The existence of the transcendental qualities of Shanta Rasa and Dasya Rasa is certainly there, but beyond that, there is another quality, confidential attachment, which is pure transcendental love. This confidence in the Supreme Personality is technically known as Vishrambha. In that status of Vishrambha, fraternity, there is no sense of awe or veneration toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As such, in the transcendental relationship of Sakhya Rasa, there are three transcendental qualities: the sense of greatness, the sense of kinship, and the sense of intimacy without any impression of awe or veneration. Therefore, in the relationship of fraternity, therefore, in the relationship of fraternity, one transcendental quality is further increased. Similarly, in the status of paternal affection, there are four qualities. Above the three qualities already mentioned, there is another sense of the devotee that the Supreme Lord is dependent on the mercy of the devotee. As parent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotee also sometimes chastises the Supreme Personality of Godhead and considers him as maintained by such devotee. This transcendental sense of being the maintainer of the Supreme Maintainer is very much pleasing both to the devotee and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord instructed Srila Rupa Goswami to write the transcendental literature named Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, indicating therein the substance of the five transcendental relationships. It is explained there how the transcendental quality of Shanta Rasa, in the shape of unflinching faith in Krishna, is further developed to the form of Dasya Rasa with the spirit of service, and then to Sakhya Rasa for undeterred fraternity, and can be still more developed in the transcendental flavor of paternal love with the sense of maintaining the Lord, all culminates in the highest platform of conjugal love, wherein all the different transcendental relationships exist simultaneously. With this, we come to the end of chapter 1, Teachings to Rupa Goswami. Now we shall begin the next chapter, chapter 2, Sanatana Goswami. In this chapter, we will be reading Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Srila Sanatana Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a person in the lowest status of life can find direction in transcendental devotional service to the Lord. After Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, sannyasa, he traveled all over India. During this period, he went to Maldaha, a district in Bengal, and in that portion of the land there was a village by the name of Ramkin. Two government two government ministers of the Nawab Hussain Shah's regime lived there, namely Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, later renamed Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They had a chance to meet Lord Chaitanya, and after meeting him, they decided that they would retire from the government service and join his Sankirtan movement. The two brothers at once took steps to leave their material engagements and appointed two learned Brahmins to perform certain Vedic religious rituals in order to achieve complete freedom for the devotional service of Krishna. These preliminary activities are known as Purashcharya. The ritual function of this process is that 3 times a day one has to worship and offer respects to one's forefathers, offer oblation to the fire, and respectfully offer foodstuffs to a learned Brahmana. 5 items: the time, the worship, the offering of respect, the offering of oblation into the fire, and the offering of foodstuffs to a Brahmana comprise Purashcharya. In the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, the directional authoritative book, these rituals are mentioned. After performance of these religious rituals, the younger brother Sakar Malik or Rupa Goswami returned to his home with an immense amount of money which he had acquired during his government service. The silver and gold coins he brought back filled a large boat. After arriving home, he divided the accumulated wealth first into two and distributed one part to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Thus, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he distributed 50% of his accumulated wealth to persons engaged in the Supreme Lord's transcendental loving service. The Brahmanas are meant to understand the absolute truth, and therefore, when one is actually engaged in the loving service of the Lord, he is called a Vaishnava. Both the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas are supposed to be fully engaged in transcendental service, and Rupa Goswami, considering their important transcendental position, gave them 50% of his wealth. The balance was again divided into two. One part he distributed to his relatives or dependent family members, and the other he kept against personal emergency. This distribution of personal wealth is very instructive for all who desire to be elevated to the advancement of spiritual knowledge. Generally, a person bequeaths all his accumulated wealth to the family members and then retires from family activities for progress in spiritual knowledge. But here we find the exemplary behavior of Rupa Goswami. He gave 50% of his wealth for spiritual purposes. This should be the example for every one of us. The 25% of his accumulated wealth, which he kept against personal emergency, he deposited with a good business firm, since in those days there were no banks. Another 10,000 coins were deposited for expenditures for his elder brother Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami at this time received information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preparing to proceed toward Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. He sent two messengers to receive actual information of the Lord's itinerary, and he made his own plans to go to Mathura to meet the Lord there. It appears that Rupa Goswami got permission to join Lord Chaitanya, but Sanatana Goswami did not. Therefore, Sanatana Goswami entrusted his responsibility in the government service to his immediate assistants, and he remained at home to study Srimad Bhagavatam. He engaged some 10 or 20 learned Brahmanas and began an intensive study of Srimad Bhagavatam in their company. While he was thus engaged, he submitted sick reports to the Nawab, but the ruler was very anxious for his advice in government matters, and therefore he suddenly appeared one day at Sanatana Goswami's house. The Nawab entered the assembly of Sanatana Goswami and the Brahmanas, and out of respect, all of them stood up to receive him, and they offered him a place to sit. The Nawab said, "You have submitted sick reports, but I sent my physician to see you, and he reported that you have no illness. I did not know why you were submitting sick reports and not attending to your service, so I have personally come to see you, and I am much perturbed by your behavior. As you know, I completely depend on you and your responsible work in governing. I was therefore free to act in other matters because I was depending on you. But if you do not join me, your past devotion will be spoiled. Now, what is your intention? Please tell me." On hearing this, Sanatana Goswami replied that he was unable to work any more, and it would be very kind of the Nawab if he appointed somebody else to execute the work that was entrusted to him. The Nawab became very angry at this and said, "Your elder brother lives like a hunter, and if you also retire from the administration, then everything will be finished." It is said that the Nawab used to treat Sanatana Goswami as a younger brother. The Nawab was engaged in conquering different parts of the country, and he was also engaged in hunting, and therefore he depended more or less on Sanatana Goswami for administration, and so he pleaded with him, "If you also retire from the government service, how will the administration be run?" Sanatana Goswami replied very gravely, "You are the governor of Gauda, and you punish different kinds of criminals in different ways. So you are at liberty to punish anyone according to his activity." The purpose of this reply was that the governor was engaged in hunting animals and killing men to expand his kingdom, so let both of them suffer according to the acts they were performing. The Nawab was intelligent, and he understood Sanatana Goswami's purpose and left the place in an angry mood. Shortly afterward, he went off to conquer Orissa, and ordered the arrest of Sanatana Goswami until he returned. Rupa Goswami then learned that Rupa Goswami then learned that his elder brother Sanatana had been arrested by the Nawab. He sent information by messenger that the 10,000 coins in Gouda or Bengal in custody of the grocer should be used to release him from the Nawab's detention. Rupa Goswami, with his younger brother, whose name was Sri Vallabha, then started for Vrindavan to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana offered 5,000 coins to the keeper of the jail in which he was being kept in custody. He advised the jail keeper to gladly accept the 5,000 coins from him and let him go, because by accepting such money he would be materially benefited, and at the same time he would be acting very righteously in freeing Sanatana for spiritual activities. The custodian replied, "Of course, I can let you go, because you have done many services for me, and you are in government service. I know that, but I am afraid of the Nawab when he hears that you are free. I'll have to explain. How can I accept such a proposal?" Sanatana gave a story which the custodian might submit to the Nawab as to how he had escaped, and he then raised his offer to 10,000 coins. The custodian then agreed to the proposition, as he was very anxious to get the 10,000 coins, and so he let him go. Sanatana then proceeded to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not go on the open road, but travelled instead through the jungles until he arrived at a place in Bihar called Pabda, and rested there in the hotel. The hotel keeper, meanwhile, was informed by an astrologer employed at the hotel that Sanatana Goswami had some gold coins with him and he wanted to take them from him. And so he spoke with superficial respect. "You just take your rest tonight, and in the morning I shall arrange for you to get out of this jungle trap." Sanatana, however, was suspicious of the behavior of the hotel keeper, and he inquired from his accompanying servant Ishana whether he had some money. Ishana told him that he had 7 gold coins with him. Sanatana did not like the idea of the servant carrying such money. He was angry with him and said, "Why do you carry this death knell on the road?" Sanatana at once took the 7 gold coins and offered them to the hotel keeper. He then requested the hotel keeper to help him through the jungle. He informed him that he was on a special journey for the government and could not travel on the open road, and therefore it would be very kind if the hotel keeper would help him to get over the jungle mountain. The hotel keeper replied, "I understood that you had 8 coins with you, and I was thinking of killing you to take them. But you are very good, I can understand, and so you don't have to offer me the money. I'll get you out of the hill tract." Sanatana replied, "If you don't accept these coins, then somebody else will take them from me. Somebody will kill me for them, so better you take them. I offer them to you." The hotel keeper then gave him full assistance, and that very night he helped him to get past the hills. When Sanatana emerged, he requested his servant to go home with the 1 coin that he had still with him, and he would go on alone. After the departure of his servant, Sanatana felt completely free. With torn clothing and with a water pot in his hand, he began to proceed toward Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. On the way, he met his rich brother in law, who was also in the service of the government. and who offered him an excellent blanket, which Sanatana accepted at his special request. Then he parted from him and went on alone to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Banaras. When he reached Banaras, he understood that the Lord was there and he was very glad. He was informed by people that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying at the house of Chandrasekhara Acharya, and he went there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inside the house, and he could understand that Sanatana had arrived at the door. He asked Chandrasekhara to call the man who was sitting at his door. He is a Vaishnava, a great devotee of the Lord. Chandrasekhara went out to see the man, but he saw no Vaishnava at the door. He saw only a man who appeared to be a mendicant. The Lord then asked to see the mendicant. When Sanatana entered the courtyard of the house, Lord Chaitanya hurriedly came to receive him and embraced him. When the Lord embraced him, Sanatana became overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy, and he began to say, "My dear Lord, please do not touch me." But both of them embraced each other and began to cry. Seeing Sanatana and Lord Chaitanya acting thus, Chandrasekhara was struck with wonder. Lord Chaitanya received Sanatana in this way and asked him to sit down with him on a bench. He was touching the body of Sanatana with his hand, and Sanatana asked him, "My dear Lord, please do not touch me." The Lord replied, "I am touching you just for my purification because you are a great devotee. By your devotional service, you can deliver the whole universe for going back to Godhead." In this connection, the Lord quoted a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. The purport of the verse is that a person who is a devotee of Lord Krishna, 100% engaged in devotional service, is far better than a Brahmana who is learned in all the Vedic literature, but who is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee can purify every place and everything because he is carrying the Supreme Lord within his heart. In the Vedic literature, it is also stated that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not recognize even a person who is very learned in all the divisions of the Vedas, but rather he likes a person, even if born of a low family, provided that that person is a devotee. Instead of offering charities to some Brahmana who is not a devotee, if something is offered to a devotee, that offering is accepted by the Lord. In other words, anything offered to the Lord may be given to his devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam that if a Brahmana, although qualified with the 12 different qualities of a Brahmana, is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, then he is lower than the lowest of the low, even though born in a high family. A devotee, although born in a Chandala or a dog eater's family, can purify his whole family for 100 generations, past and future, by devotional service, whereas a proud Brahmana cannot even purify himself. It is said in the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, it is said in the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, O devotee of the Lord, to see you is the perfection of the eyes. To touch your body is the perfection of bodily activities. To glorify your qualities is the perfection of the tongue, because it is very rare to find a pure devotee like you. The Lord next said to Sanatana that Krishna is very merciful and is the deliverer of the fallen soul. He has saved you from Maharaurava. This Maharaurava hell is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is for persons who are engaged in killing animals. It is stated there that butchers or animal eaters go to that hell. Sanatana replied, I do not know the mercy of Krishna, but I can understand that your mercy is causeless upon me. You have delivered me from the entanglement of material life. Then the Lord inquired, how did you get free from your custody? I understood that you were arrested. Sanatana narrated the whole story of how he was released. Lord Chaitanya then informed him, I have seen your two brothers. I have seen your two brothers, and I have advised them to proceed toward Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya now introduced Chandrasekhara to Sanatana, and there was a pleasant invitation made for Sanatana to dine with him. The Lord requested Chandrasekhara to take Sanatana to the barber and make him gentle because Sanatana had grown a long beard which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like. He therefore asked Chandrasekhara to take Sanatana to a bath and get him clean shaved. He asked him to change his clothes also. After taking a bath and cleansing himself, Sanatana requested Chandrasekhara to give him some good cloth. When Lord Chaitanya was informed that Sanatana did not accept new garments but accepted only some used garments from Chandrasekhara, he was very glad. The Lord sat down for lunch and asked Chandrasekhara to keep food for Sanatana. Chandrasekhara did not offer him food immediately, however, but after the Lord finished his eating, there were some remnants of his foodstuff, and that was offered to Sanatana while the Lord went for his rest. After this, Lord Chaitanya introduced one Maharashtrian Brahmana, his devotee, to Sanatana. And that Maharashtrian Brahmana invited Sanatana to accept lunch daily at his place. So, so as long as he remained at Banaras. Sanatana said, so long I remain at Banaras, I will beg from door to door, and the Lord will be so good as to accept from you this invitation for daily lunch at the Brahmana's house. By this behavior of Sanatana, Lord Chaitanya was very much pleased, but he noticed the valuable blanket that was given to Sanatana by his brother in law while en route to Banaras. Although Lord Chaitanya was overlooking the blanket, Sanatana understood that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not approve of such a valuable garment on his body and he planned to get rid of it. He immediately went to the bank of the Ganges and there saw a mendicant washing an old quilt. Sanatana asked him to trade the old quilt for the valuable blanket. The poor mendicant thought that Sanatana was joking with him, so he said, how is that? You appear to be a very nice gentleman, but you are mocking me in this unmannerly way. Sanatana informed him, I am not joking with you, I am very serious. Will you kindly exchange that torn quilt for this blanket? Then Sanatana exchanged his blanket for the torn quilt, and he came before the Lord. The Lord inquired, where is your valuable blanket? Sanatana informed him about the exchange at the Ganges of the blanket for the torn quilt. The Lord then loved him for this, and he thanked Sanatana. You are intelligent enough, and you have now finished all your attraction for material wealth. In other words, the Lord accepts a person for devotional service only when he is completely free from all materialistic possessions. The Lord said to Sanatana, it would not look well to become a mendicant and go begging from door to door, while at the same time you have such a valuable blanket on your body. It is contradictory, and people would look at it with abhorrence. Sanatana replied to the Lord, whatever I am doing to become free from material attachment, it is all your mercy. The Lord was very much pleased with him, and both of them discussed spiritual advancement. Previous to this meeting of Sanatana and Lord Chaitanya met the householder devotee Ramananda Raya. In that meeting, which is discussed in a different chapter, Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Raya questions, and Ramananda replied as if he were the teacher of the Lord. But in this case, Sanatana will put questions to the Lord, and the Lord will answer them. The instruction and teachings of Lord Chaitanya are very important for people in general. He teaches the process of devotional service, which is the constitutional position of every living entity. It is every man's duty to advance in spiritual science. All these things are very nicely discussed in the talks between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatana Goswami. At the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Sanatana was able to put questions before him, and these are replied to properly. The meeting of Sanatana and Lord Chaitanya teaches us that in order to understand spiritual subject matters, one must approach a spiritual master like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and make submissive enquiries. This is also confirmed in the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita that one should approach a man of authority and learn from him about spiritual science. Thus ends chapter 2 of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya entitled Sanatana Goswami. Thank you very much for joining. We shall meet again in the next session. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.